Okay, it's good to get back here after getting a couple days off, giving our players some time to heal up, get their minds right, get their bodies right, and also get some work done this past week. Coming into this press conference, I don't have to worry about selling Vanderbilt anymore and telling you how good they are and how good Clark Lee's done. I have a lot of respect for Clark and what he's done and what he's been building for some time. Of course, they beat us not long ago, so I know what he's capable of and what type of quality person and coach he is in the job that he's doing at Vanderbilt. Congratulations to them. To see some of that hard work paying off, getting such a big victory this past week. For us, regardless of what happens to our opponents, it's always about us and our preparation and what we try to do. And, I felt like last week was very productive. Just covering some of the things that I mentioned about getting some rest and recovery, but also getting better as a football team. I feel like our team has obviously been progressing the past several weeks, and we need to continue to do that as we hit the middle part of our schedule here before another break. Which is unusual to have 2 byes during the season, but we do. So we'll attack this middle part as best we can. And starting with Vandy, glad to be at home this week in a night game. So I hope to have a tremendous environment here Saturday night. I think it's as I mentioned post game, it was very good to get a big victory a week ago on the road, and hopefully our fans will be here in full effect this Saturday, and our team will continue to play better and better. So with that, again, I'll open it up, but other than I know I'm going to get it, and Vanderbilt was very impressive this past week. They were prior to that they had their bye and they played Missouri extremely well. They could very easily be sitting here at 2-0 in conference against 2 top 10 opponents. So a very good football team, and our team just needs to be up for the challenge, and we need to worry about ourselves and prepare the right way.
Questions? Mark, Jerry Kill came over from New Mexico State. What is the kind of characteristics about him, and what has he done for them for the program?
Well, I think Jerry Kill is probably a great addition to Clark Lee. I think Clark has been doing a tremendous job for 3 years. He and I talk, and not often, but I mean early on, and he expressed to me that he was trying to build things the way I did it here many years ago, and you could see that happening. I think times are different now with the addition of the transfer portal, and so we're all adapting to that. And certainly he had some great additions, starting with their quarterback. Just amazing player. He really is. I think this past week, I want to say he was 20 of 26 for like 250 yards. He's completing nearly 80% of his passes, along with all the deception that they have in their offense. But he's also seeing things at a very, very high level and playing some very good football. So obviously, Clark got a great addition there with the QB, but Coach Kill, is a guy that's won, at a lot of places. He has tremendous experience, and I'm sure it's a great sounding board for Clark, but I don't know the inner operations of what's going on there.
Mark, you talking about this deception in your offense. Does it remind you of any offense you faced before, or is it?
No, I think I'd say it's a little bit unique in its own way. I really would. They're using elements of plays that you see often. And then they have some plays that you don't see as much. And there's always movement. Probably 20% of their offense is out of unbalanced. And with the unbalance, you're getting shifts and motions. So you're getting, they do a tremendous job of keeping you off balance a little bit, where they have plenty of plays to the formation, and they have plenty coming back. So they keep you on your toes.
Mark, obviously the bye week, we talk a lot about getting guys healthy. Do you have a sense if Max is going to be available this week?
I'll update that later in the week.
We saw pictures of Bartlett, Gilmore practicing. Is it with a true freshman like that, where you have a potential red shirt? Is there a plan to maybe try to save him for the red shirt, or if he's good enough to play?
If he's good enough to play, if he's going to help us, we'll play him. We'll see how that goes as well.
Vanderbilt was on the board first against Missouri and against Alabama. Is there any extra emphasis this week on starting out fast and making a priority to get on the board first?
Well, I think 2 weeks ago we sat in here and I mentioned it was very, very similar in that the offense of Ole Miss starts so fast because it's so hard to replicate all of those, that tempo in their plays and their scripted plays. I think Vandy has done a great job, similar in that hard to defend. They have a lot of misdirection and a lot of eye candy in their offense, and they know what they're doing. It's not just, throwing fluff out there. There's a rhyme and a reason behind everything that they're doing. And so that takes a little bit of time to get adjusted. Now, for us, of course, it's important to start fast. I think that's a compliment to them, and it's the challenge that we face.
Mark, they were like 15 to 20 or something like that on third and fourth down.
Yes.
I think Clark Lee said he only wanted to have like 9 possessions in that game. They want to shrink the game. So is there more importance defensively this week to win on third down and fourth down when the situations arise?
I think it's important as a team. I mean, with the way we are, methodical as well, and with the possessions and the way we drive, on offense and the way they do it. Obviously, we're both searching for explosive plays, and off of what we do, we're looking for explosive plays. But it definitely can be a short game, and that makes the margin for error shrink. So it's important for defenses to get off the field, of course. And, points are going to be a premium. And obviously, in a game like this, turnovers are going to be, hugely important. You're going to make sure we protect the football and try to create a turnover. And that's going to be hard for a quarterback that hasn't thrown a pick all year, so he's obviously playing at a very, very, very high level.
Mark, during the bye week, when you're self-scouting your team up to this point, is there anything that might have jumped out and surprised you from that process?
No. I mean, you have a pretty good feel for what's happening. You try to take a deep dive into it and try to fix areas where falling short, and continue to build on the areas that you feel like you're doing well. And you also try to anticipate, if people are going to take away things that you're doing well, what we can possibly do to expand on that a little bit.
There aren't a lot of, especially statistically, the defense is checking a lot of boxes, except for that explosive play. So is there any common denominator with those, or is it?
I think, you could see, we play some pretty good teams, and there's, this league and, and others in college football, people are creative and get some one-on-ones and, makes plays. It's just a matter of you making plays as well. And so I think, I think that's what's important, is having that resolve and being able to bounce back if somebody does create a big play.
Your team did such a good job against Ole Miss, minimizing a mobile quarterback. Mm-hmm. What sort of things did they do in Oxford that they've got to do against this kid for Vandy?
Diego Pavia is as I mentioned, a very good quarterback, and I'd say he's a little bit unique to somebody we've seen, in a bit of time. I think he's extremely good at ball handling. He makes very good decisions. He's good in rhythm and on time, and he's very accurate. He's much more accurate. He's completing, like I said, I think it's 80%. Right in that range, and it's not just short passes, but he's very good with the ball in his hands. He's good at feeling pressure. And so when he escapes pressure, he does a remarkable job of finding people down the field and hitting open receivers. And that's, obviously a gift. He's a very good player, he's very well coached, but, he's special in that regard.
When the transfer portal picked up and in NIL, I think there was some belief that, the powerhouses are just going to clean up now. They're going to get the best players from the smaller schools and so forth. Yeah, you have all these upsets happen over the weekend. You have a player like Pavia who played in Mexico State and ends up going to Vanderbilt. What does that say about or does it say anything about the current landscape?
Yeah, I think, the landscape is, in our league, it's nothing new to us. I don't think anybody wants to hear the poor me about us coaches talking about, I don't think anybody's interested in that. We're not worried about that, but we know how difficult it is in this league. It's ridiculous how hard it is. And, there's a lot of very good coaches in this league and a lot of very good players. I guess nothing surprises us anymore.
Mark, last 11 SEC road games, Kentucky is 6-5. Last 11 SEC home games, Kentucky is 2-9. Do you have a theory on that?
I don't know. It could, you could look at, I don't know. You could look at who we played and how we played and all that. So, no, I don't have a theory on it. I mean, we've played good at home and on the road, and we've played bad at home and on the road.
I think their tight end leads all SEC tight ends in receiving yards. What makes them different to maybe some of the tight ends you guys have seen so far this season?
Yeah, I think Stowers, number 9, Stowers. He's a guy that he's a very good player. He's very mobile. He does a lot of good things, not only in the pass game, but he's critical to their offense and the efficiency that they have with some of their counters and wraps and the way he pulls and will also insert and just does a lot of things. Very good player. Just good, complete player.
Can you just talk a little bit about Brock and the progression you've seen from him from the first game up through the Ole Miss game?
Yeah, like I mentioned with Brock earlier, he's a guy that really doesn't get rattled. He really likes to put his head down and compete and worry about himself and his team and wanting to improve. And that's what you like about him. His demeanor is very steady, and his work ethic and his work habits are very steady as well.
Can I follow up on that to say, obviously he did not play well against South Carolina with extenuating circumstances there too, but for a young quarterback, I would think the fear would be that was going to set him back. But yet he seems to have progressed from that. How did he do that?
Yeah, I think just from the things that I just said, really his background, his father being a coach, the toughness that he has, the steadiness that he has in his life, he's a steady person. And very stable and very conscientious in all areas of his life. And, so his practice habits and the fact that he doesn't get frustrated or rattled. I think I said that in the last press conference with him. But, even through tough times, he's not one of those guys that's going to huff and puff on the sideline or poor me or throw his helmet or something like that. It's just steady. It's just how can we get better? How can I get better?
Is last weekend a good, I know you all were on the right end of one of these big upsets, but is it good to remind your players that stuff happens in the sport?
We could talk till we're blue in the face. They could see it. They see it on TV, and I think they know that. And, it's just a matter of getting our team ready. And I think frustration sets in with any of us, like with me as a coach or a fan or you as media or anything. It's like, how can you not get up for 12 straight games? For 12 games, you only have a guarantee of 12, and you got to love these opportunities. These guys go through a lot, and it's no excuse. And there's a lot of times where they may be up for it. We're just not dialed in mentally on a play here or there. There's critical moments in plays that you have to make. You have to make them at the right time, and you got to put yourself in position. If you play poorly the entire game, then it's not going to matter because you're not going to be, in a position, to come down to the wire. So, I think for us, it's about execution, excitement through the week to mentally prepare and be dialed in and fundamentally get better. And I think, we've been doing that. Now I'd like to see a continuation of that leading into the middle part of our season.
Mark, you guys didn't have to quote unquote worry about letdown loss after that big win because you didn't have a game, obviously. So how do you balance the confidence you gain from that massive win at Ole Miss, knowing that it was a long time ago, it was 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's just preparation for us. I think our guys, the past several weeks, as we've all seen improvement, I wouldn't think, I didn't really see anything totally different on the practice field or anything like that. It's not like they're out there trying to psych themselves up every day or things. I mean, they have a lot on their plate, but they have to handle their business. And that's the bottom line. Just embrace that process and embrace the challenge of the preparation and really mentally dial in in the early part of the week of what we're trying to accomplish, what that game plan is, and really in the middle of the week during the hard work days, really hone in and try to be a better football player and fundamentally play better. And then of course, it ultimately leads to Saturday where we need to go show it, go prove it, and go do it.
You mentioned getting some of the young guys reps last week. I know it's only a week, did you see any of them take a step forward?
I saw a big group. I mean, it's just in general, we have a group of young players that are good, that we got good snaps and good work, and we need to continue to do that.
Both you and Brad after the game singled out Chris Collins for the work he's done with those young corners. Where have you seen them grow the most? Is it just winning more one-on-ones, or is there something?
No, I think just the confidence level, big picture, seeing things, anticipation. There's a lot to it. And I think they're seeing things better. And when you see things better and you start making a few plays and having that resiliency that we all need, especially at that position, I think that's really important.
How do you coach seeing things?
There's a fine line because you tell somebody, you tell a player this and then like literally they're going to do it. You know what I mean? So it's like for instance, when I talk about you're watching the game, like that's a bad thing sometimes, right? Because you're not really reading your keys. You're just kind of watching the game over there because you're not dialed in. But there's other times where you got to have big picture vision, right? And then there's certain times where you got to like dial in exactly on your key and exactly what he's doing. Does that make sense? So there's a lot to it, and that just comes with experience and coaching and making sure they're understanding. Like there's times if there's 2-3 guys to your side or into the boundary, watching all the switches, watching all the plays that can happen. That's where you need to have some big vision. And then there's other times where it's just you're just dialed into a certain key. Is he blocking? Is he releasing? Is he, and that's as a secondary player, I think, as a defense, it's critically important to where our eyes are. This is a perfect example of that. Like we have to have great eye discipline. Whatever our keys are, our guys, because they do a good job, as I mentioned, they'll stay front side and then they'll also come back. And so, you really got to be dialed in on what your assignment is.
Mark, what's your evaluation about Eli Cox's moment?
Eli's done a good job. I mean, he's had his moments, maybe, not perfect, but overall very good. Very good control. He's super bright. He takes charge of that offensive line, makes a lot of good decision on his call, on his, what he's calling, what he's seeing with protections. And, he's a tremendous leader.
Mark, I think it came up in the radio show, but did Ryan go back in with a dislocated shoulder? Just how impressive has he been? I mean, the pass breakup on maybe the best receiver in the league in Harris in that game.
He did. He went back in and he had strength and, went back in place and he went back in and played as long as he could. And so bye week came at a good time and we'll see. We'll evaluate that and we'll see how it goes this week.
We talk a lot about the Vandy offense. What about their defense? What do you see from them?
Well, with Clark taking over, I mean, you see a very well-coached defense. They in particular, can give you a lot of problems if you get in third and long situations. I think it's really important for us to stay ahead of the chains, make sure we get it to third and manageable. He's very creative and can do some damage on third and long, but just very fundamentally sound, as you would anticipate with him. And their team in general plays extremely hard. And they had some adversity early in the year, and had a couple tough losses, but have responded. And that's what you expect, and from a good football team that's very well coached. And Clark has done that, and they play really hard, and they're very, very fundamentally sound.
Mark, I've heard you express the opinion we only ask you about the special teams when things are going wrong. So how do you feel about your special teams?
It's the first question all year. I feel like very solid. I feel like obviously the kicking game, kickoffs and field goals and extra points, very solid. There's a time or two with protection that we have to challenge the guys and make sure we're solid in there and not going to get exploited, throughout the year. So I think our coaches do a tremendous job. Jay Bullaware does a remarkable job. Our coverage units have been very good. It comes down to kicking. I think punting has been good. Even in the last game, we had a deep kick, but it really wasn't to our liking with hang time. You give dangerous receivers the ball in their hands plus grass, and it could lead to problems, whether it's a kickoff or punts. We've seen that before. So I think kicking is a big piece of it. But the special teams in general, Jay has done a remarkable job, extremely solid.
Mark, it looked like Vandy, to a civilian, played a really physical brand of football from the first play on against Alabama. I don't know if you saw that, because I know that's what you look for in your team. You expect that kind of game Saturday night?
Without a doubt. You saw them. You saw creativity in their offense, and you saw physicality, and obviously tremendous efficiency from their quarterback position. So, you put those things together, and it's hard to defend, no matter who they're playing against. So, I think it's important for us to match them physically, but also be very sharp in our assignments and very disciplined in what we're doing.
Obviously, he wasn't available in Ole Miss, but is he responding the way coming back to practice that you hope that he might be available down the road at some point?
Yeah, without getting into the weeds on it, I mean, we had a setback in what he had originally, and so we will see where that goes.
The game against Vandy 2 years ago was a weird one. I mean, it was snowing, mid-November game. I know Vandy looks a lot different. You guys do too, but you guys have a number of starters still from that team. Does that light an extra fire? Did they remember that game?
I get asked that question about every week as well, one way or another, whether we beat somebody or lost somebody. It shouldn't have any bearing on this. Our players should be motivated no matter what happened 2 years ago or what happened last year. I mean, we should be motivated to handle our business throughout the week to put ourselves in a position to play well Saturday.
Everybody good?
I have one.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. You built this program, you've talked about it before, with evaluation, recruitment, coaching kids up. Here's a kid who plays quarterback now at Vandy who couldn't even get an offer from his hometown year. He's kind of just slipped through. And I know it's an inexact science, but what lessons should we learn about that kind of thing where a kid goes unnoticed and the next thing you know he's beating Alabama?
Well, the first thing for him is you just have to congratulate him on his perseverance and his, obviously the personal drive that he has and the competitive nature that he has and the perseverance that he has. But he's a very good football player, and he's proven that. And I think, we all would say we like, teams and you like players that have a chip on their shoulder, and certainly he's playing that way, and you have to commend him, for just Not only that, I mean, he wants to win for his team, you know what I mean? But he wants to prove people wrong, of course, and he wants to play well, but for his team. And I wouldn't expect anything less from Clark Lee and a team like that, and I have a lot of respect for him. I've seen it coming. I've seen it coming for years. And, and so, I'm not saying I saw that upset coming. I just saw the way Clark was building his program and how hard they play under any circumstance. When you get teams that are fundamentally sound and they play extremely hard, they have an opportunity to win any game.